Hey, you know, I got a Jubilee video prior to this. I'm afraid to put these videos out, man, because they don't really get monetized, you know. Like, but not just that though. It's too many opinions in one room at a time. So it'd be hard to like actually hear what people are feeling. But you know, we're gonna give it a win anyway. Can feminists and non-feminists agree on gender equality? Of course not. This was 6 years ago though, but you know, I'm coming back into the reactions a little later than everybody else. So, you know, like hopefully another channel pops up that, you know, has these kind of conversations. Maybe I could be that channel, like to have these type of conversations, because these are good. But you know what to do: subscribe, turn on post notifications, and let's get it. Let's go. Waste no more time, man. We don't want to waste no more time. This video 14 minutes long, so we don't waste no time. Hold up, boy.
Men are making choices for us, women, about birth control, abortion, healthcare, everything, and we can't even have a say on it because they won't even hear us.
I have my non-feminists in the left spotlight, and my feminists in the right spotlight.
There's shit on my face? Nah, I'm good.
The feminist movement has changed from its original definition.
Absolutely. I thought it was a socioeconomic political advancement of both the sexes. It does not talk to both the sexes.
The reason why I hesitated is because I started to think about who is most served by mainstream feminism. I don't personally think that has changed. I think that white, heterosexual, cisgendered women are most served by mainstream feminism.
When I heard the definition of feminist, right, I was like, yeah, I'm a feminist. Like, yeah, you know, I believe in equality of the sexes. Of course I do. But it changed the more that I researched the movement, the more that I saw how mainstream media portrayed it. And to me, it's like there's a lot of issues that happen to men in disproportionate amounts that are always overlooked. That, you know, no one talks about the suicide rate. No one talks about the homelessness rate for men. And it sucks because if your whole movement is based around equality of the sexes, right, and to make sure both sexes are equal, then that covers the whole spectrum, right? It's not just one sex, it's equality.
Notice how she put her head down when he was talking, because she don't care about that. The feminists don't care about that. They don't care about none of the problems with men. And they don't realize, some of them don't realize solving some of the problems of men could solve some of the problems for them. Genuinely could. Like, and that's sad to say. I know, because some of them made the argument back to me, well, we have to save ourselves from y'all. Y'all must be the problem. It's like, yeah, there's an element of men that are the problem. There is.
The title of feminist inherently excludes men.
Interesting.
But the definition doesn't.
Male privilege is real.
It's not lost on me how many more men are in academia and in higher education. Or women are called more often to put their careers on hold in order to have children or for whatever other reasons. That's just kind of the way I see it manifesting most in my life, is just seeing how hard it is to be an intellectual woman in academia. My name is Faith, and I am not a feminist. I am a strong woman, and I was raised by strong women, but I cannot get behind a few of the core ideals of what it often means to be a feminist, so I do not identify as one.
My mother is a teacher. She has her master. She has years and years of experience, and yet her place within the school, her place within, as far as like authority over students, is not the same as a man. And I think that's an inequality that I've just been...
I do notice that, like, if you're a man, you snap your fingers at a kid will go and do what they need to do. When a woman does it, they give them a little more sassy mouth. I noticed that.
Shown from my mother, who comes home and says, you know, I just had the worst day at work because I was uncomfortable the entire time. Or I had a strange experience with a male student who just like would not listen to a word I said. it wasn't connecting. It wasn't until I brought in the vice principal who was male or another teacher who was male that things could be kind of squashed and covered.
Just growing up, I would say that overall our school systems are more geared towards women. There's more female teachers, and that's how our children are raised. You know, the things that you were alluding to. Your mom has to deal with those difficulties that a man would not have to deal with. Men have to deal with a lot of difficulties that most women wouldn't have to deal with. We do benefit from certain privileges, but so do women.
I think you considered it a privilege that there are more women in the teaching profession, but you should also consider that other options weren't necessarily or historically available to women because they were considered to be more nurturing. A lot of women were pushed into that field.
Still, women are choosing these majors and choosing their region of study, whereas men are tending to choose higher paying majors. They're choosing more to go into STEM fields and such like that, and reaping the fight.
That's part of that debate about the gender gap. Like, the gender gap truly doesn't exist solely based on sexism. Not that it doesn't exist. People who make that argument are dumb. It's that it doesn't exist strictly based on sexism. Strictly based on sexism, because that's what some feminists try to get at. That it's all based on sexism, and it's not. There are many of other factors that play a role in it, and those factors may sometimes trump sexism. It may trump sexism. Even within those factors, it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, some of those factors, there may be an element of sexism within it. Like, for example, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Nobody's preventing women from going into these fields. But when women go into these fields and they're male-dominated and they feel like they got to deal with the trauma of how men act all the time towards them, that could lead them to not want to choose those fields as well. You see what I'm saying? But statistically speaking, if we put it all on the data sheet, there's nothing to say that the gender pay gap doesn't have a multitude of factors. And those multitude of factors are all elements that we have to hit in order to equalize the pay. But I do think you give it like 20, 30 years, the pays will equalize because more women are going into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Less women are having children. There are more Fortune 500 women, more $100,000 women. As a matter of fact, there are more women going to college and graduating college than there are men. So I think you give this one generation, it'll change. I'm just saying.
Financial benefits, while women are also reaping their own happiness benefits of going into a field that they enjoy.
Okay.
If I were born the opposite sex, my life would be easier.
I want to see if the black woman sits down for this one.
I started to walk over just thinking inherently the privileges that men in this society have and how they're able to navigate far easier and all of that stuff. And then I thought what it would be like to be a black man in this society. And I don't know that it would be any easier.
I'm glad she acknowledged that. I'm really glad she acknowledged that.
First generation Mexican American. I have two Mexican parents. If I were to be born a male Mexican, it'd be so much easier for just that group. I try to break off from those stereotypes of Melanie gets a table ready for dinner. Excuse me, I have two brothers that can do the exact same thing. You know, why can't they do it? Why do I have to do it? My name is Melanie Valdez, and I am on the feminist side. I had an incident where I was sexually assaulted, and that changed my whole perspective.
I don't like her answer, though. It's because she told you to. But I get what you're saying, though. Like, it shouldn't be expected for a woman to only do it. But if dad told anybody to get up and get the table, or mom did, you should listen. That sound like a bigot? I don't want to sound like a bigot.
If I was born any other thing than I am, I would have to struggle differently than I have already struggled. And, compared to some people in, minorities, or some people that are white have struggled more than me. There's always a positive and a negative that you're born with, and it's how you utilize that and get over it that I think is important, rather than focusing on if I was born this or if I was born that.
I think it is kind of what we make of it. And I'd almost say that to want to be anything different than what we are possibly even defeating the purpose of the feminist movement. A big part of feminism is telling women that they're worth it already, that they're already enough. I have a little sister, I have friends who were told by their father, by their older brother, that you are enough. And now they're doing whatever they want because they were told they could. They were given the opportunity from the beginning. And they weren't told, well, if you were a man, you could. No. They were told, you are a woman and you can because of who you are.
Not sure that having a community that affirms who you are is enough. If the society and the structure and the laws and the policies that govern tell you otherwise. My parents told me I could do whatever I want to do. And so I went to law school and I'm an attorney and I write, but I don't make as much as my coworker who does the exact same thing and who I'm probably am more qualified than.
From the statistics that I read, there was no wage gap, there was an earnings gap.
So it's your understanding that there is no wage gap between men and women.
Yes, there's an earnings gap. Different positions, different schooling can also be a factor. You can have the same degree but from two different schools and they'll pay someone from better school different. How the interviews go, even negotiable.
That sounds weaselish. They just happen to pay the women always less. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's a little weird. Maybe the negotiating salaries, maybe one of them, but like, oh, you're from this school, so you get paid more than this person from this school. You're doing the same job. That's a little fugazi, man.
Entry salaries.
Again, let me say this again. The gender pay gap absolutely does exist. There's just multiple factors that exist that might not have anything to do with sexism. And that's the component that if we healed some of those other factors, sexism may not even matter in the conversation of whether women make the same amount as men. It might just be easier to do. But let's keep going.
Then are women choosing jobs that pay less?
Culture.
Yeah, he didn't answer that question really, really well. But the culture of sexism was what created them to pick those kind of jobs. That would be the response from a feminist.
Men and women need to work together to create equality.
Agreed.
I think one of the reasons that I can take issue with certain types of feminism is it does come across as anti-man. Sometimes it comes across as it's your fault. You know, if I go to the Women's March and I see signs that say smash the patriarchy and like our B-word bites back and stuff like that, that's, as much as that's speaking against, you know, an oppressive top culture, that's speaking to all men, and I don't see that as helpful.
Well, I think all men benefit from patriarchy. I mean, you need to acknowledge...
Oh. Here you go. Here we go. Acknowledge your privilege. That's exactly what she's about to tell him, and don't realize that that is part of the reason why the message doesn't get across. Everybody doesn't feel like they're privileged. Even if there are elements in society that seem to be better, I can look at a lot of elements for women that seem to be better. Like if we talked about family courts, if we talked about how women are treated just off the strength of calling for help. If a man was calling for help, people would laugh. If a woman is, though, they would come to that. There's a lot of factors in life on both ends. Like, you know what I mean? And she's about to tell him he's privileged. And a black man, I'm telling you, like, when these women say that to black men, I'm telling you, we cannot see that. We do not see that. We go into the workforce and feel the exact same way you do. Like, we do. We feel like we're isolated. People don't rock with us. I feel like it every single day at every job I've ever worked at. Because I've been mostly around dominated white areas, white spaces, and you don't feel invited. You don't feel like you're part of it.
Your privilege first. If people could hear that about themselves and not be defensive, I think that we could probably push the needle forward a lot faster.
Something that plagues the feminist movement is that there's this idea that in order to gain equal footing, the other side has to be emasculated, or has to be dropped down.
And this isn't pie, you know what I mean? Just because I get a slice doesn't mean you get less, right? Like just because, advocating for women's rights doesn't infringe upon men's rights.
Right.
That doesn't, but what you just said before, acknowledging your privilege, like that in a sense is telling you to belittle yourself in a way. In a way it is, because it's like, hey, like acknowledge what privilege, if you even have it. I know I'm sounding like, no, let me not say it like that. It's making it seem like you're at fault for something that you have nothing to do with, in a sense. I don't know if this is making any sense. I know too much about this to not do it. Because there is a benefit to being a male in society. But if you asked a black male what that benefit was, he couldn't give it to you. And if you asked a woman what the black male's benefit is, they probably couldn't give it to you either. Because a lot of our women crap on us.
First and second wave feminism were very clear in the very particular things that they were trying to accomplish. You had first wave feminism, which was very clearly trying to get the right to vote. Second wave feminism, right after like World War II and such, helping women progress in the workplace and such. And now I see third wave feminism, and it is a broken apart, can be lost movement that goes in so many directions and has so many extra qualifiers. And I think about, I was talking to one of my friends who went to the Women's March with a pro-life feminist group. And she said on multiple accounts they were asked to leave because that's not why the Women's March was happening, and that they were against the movement. And so you have all these different types of feminism. There doesn't seem to be a clear center and a clear desire, and I hear people call themselves feminists for all different reasons. And with some of them, I would agree, and I would call myself a feminist for those reasons. But because it's so all over the place, I just can't call myself a feminist.
If feminists can make a concise push towards one issue together, would I be willing to join? If I agreed with the point, yes. Okay. If I agreed with what the movement was going for, yes.
As a woman, I'm not sure that I'm concerned whether or not you want to join as a man.
Is that not part of the issue?
But that's segregating that's segregating genders. If you're saying that you don't care about my opinion as a man, that goes against everything the
I don't
feminist
care
movement goes.
about reshaping and forming my feminism in a way that is digestible for you as a man.
So what's the current one message?
The definition of feminism across the board is the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Yes. Why are we only talking about the female inequalities? Why aren't we talking about the male inequalities?
We do not have the same experience. You are not oppressed in the same ways that I am.
No, and I'm sure you're not oppressed in the same ways that I am.
See? She definitely kind of just said what people feel, like what they feel and what the feminists feel and why men are so turned off by the feminist movement. Like you're not interested in helping us. You're not interested in talking about our problems. You're not interested in shaping feminism in a way to where it's inviting towards men. You want men to feel uncomfortable when they walk into the room. That's what she just honestly admitted.
More of our world leaders should be women.
Yeah, absolutely. There was this guy, he was such a weasel, man, because I actually really did some research on this, that tried to say that women make better leaders than men. You know, it was some bullshit. What I actually figured out through my studies, through what I studied through Harvard University, Stanford University, many of these places that I was looking at where does leadership mostly predicate? Like, who makes the better leaders? And it really was split down the middle. So it just depends on the type of leader that comes to power. A male can be just as good of a leader as a woman. A woman can be just as good a leader as a male. The only thing we need to stop seeing in society is women saying that women are incompetent to being in those kind of positions that require just probability situation choices. Or not probability situation choices, but require just competence. That's all they require. Like, it require, well, not complete competence and a little education as well. Like, president will require more than just competence, but yeah, I'm just making the point. Like, there was a guy I was watching where he was trying to say women make better leaders, and it's not scientifically proven at all. Not at all in any way, shape, or form. Neither side is proven actually to make a better leader. It just depends on who you're studying, when you're studying it, and why you're studying it. Different studies are going to say different things, but you can come straight down to the conclusion. If you have two competent people in the room, both of them could be competent leaders, period. Male or female. Just wanted to say that, Randy.
Let's talk about, for like this, like abortion, those who signed the bill in the room with Trump, they were all white men. I did not see a single woman. Like, just doesn't matter if it's a white woman. I did not see a single woman in there. So those men are making choices for us, women, about birth control, abortion, healthcare, everything, and we can't even have a say on it because they won't even hear us.
I don't view it as we should have more women in office. I view it as we should have the most qualified people in office. If you have an issue with, the bill being signed by white men, I believe that voting for Congress people that are women, or whoever you review and believe are the most qualified, will put those people in power.
If we are talking about the last election, I believe that the most qualified candidate did not win.
Agreed.
People need to really consider what role gender played in that.
Just logically.
She won the popular vote, man. I'm tired of this argument, man. She won the popular vote. She lost by the Electoral College. She won the popular vote. People thought she was popular. That's why people got upset.
The people that they're representing are both men and women.
Hillary, we're talking about here.
Representing us should be men and women. And it would be really hard for me to ever understand why people wouldn't think that there should be more women in leadership. I love women. I love being a woman. I love strong women. I was raised by strong women. I don't agree with all of the things that are traditionally included in feminist beliefs. Like, I have a different view on abortion than you guys, so that's a big deal for me. That's one of the most important things to me. I'm a Christian, and that's just one of my beliefs. So that's kind of, for me, that's one of the driving forces why I don't identify as a feminist.
To divide into two teams gender-wise is not Spartan. It's not often what we do, but it is sometimes. And how do we avoid that? And how do we avoid that?
She don't want to hear what none of the men got to say.
Make it a collective effort. Even
She don't want to hear what none of the men got to say.
And, there are different views.
This is funny.
I don't want to force you to agree with me. I don't want to change your mind in that way, but I want to see how I can still work with you fully and be on your team, and you can be on mine as we disagree agreeably.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Probably the most respectful middle ground I've ever seen.
Yeah, those type of conversations make it really hard to be respectful towards certain people. But, yep, that's it, y'all. Subscribe, turn on post notifications. I already said this, man. Why I keep doing this at the end of all the videos? It make me look fake. But I'm not trying to be fake. I'm trying to be real with y'all. Trying to get one-on-one with y'all. But I'm out, though. All right?